We're back in a podcast closet from an undisclosed location. This is definitely no longer my office in a tiny apartment, now dominated by a tiny baby. It is Wednesday morning, November 19th, and we are bringing back an old tradition here today. Andrew drinks alone and talks to himself. Not a beer, of course, because I'm the father of a 2-week-old. Can't be drinking in the middle of the day just yet. Diet Mountain Dew, the unofficial sponsor of my early fatherhood and the Patriots beat, if you've been paying close attention. Today, we got lots to cover. I got 6 big picture thoughts for you. We're going to take a minute to hit pause on the season, right? We all took a little break after that Thursday night game. See where the Patriots just have been, where they are now at 9-2, what's coming up next, and then we'll take a little jaunt around the AFC and see what's going on there. But first, I do want to apologize for being gone for almost 2 weeks. My wife delivered on November 8th, and days later, we found out we have to relocate. Again, this was like we go to the hospital, we get home with the baby, and then find out we have to relocate because our landlord has tested for lead paint, and shockingly, in an old building in the greater Boston area, has found a ton of it. So that can't happen, that it's flaking with a young baby. That caused the delay, but that relocation and all of the paint stuff has been taken care of. So we're back twice a week. Later in this episode, you'll have Jared Wilson, rookie left guard who just coming off his best game and is also one of the most interesting guys in the Patriots locker room already. I will let him show you and explain later in this show. Our next episode will be Thursday with Brian Barrett of The Ringer, who, if you've been listening to the show, it's just awesome. We call him the Metric Man. He's got all of the numbers. He'll have everything you want to know for Sunday's game against the Bengals. We'll touch on it a little today, just so you get probably what you want, what you've been jonesing for. But we're going to save the big Bengals preview, as we usually do, record Thursday night, and then it gets to you like Friday morning, Friday midday. After that, we will be back with another Mike Giardi Monday. And that is, of course, a staple in season of the Pats Interference podcast. Proud member of the kaleidoscopic, kissable, now kid-friendly, and kick-ass CLNS Media Network. One last heads up before we get into the 6 thoughts. This intro, will end with a Dad Pod segment. There's plenty of football first. I have been backed up physically and mentally with a ton of takes and stats and success rates, but there is some non-football at the end. So this is your heads up. You picky eaters of the Pats Interference podcast listening family. If you don't want to listen to the non-football, it's at the end. You can skip it and go straight to Jared Wilson. Now, football. Item number 1, playoffs. Okay, can we pause for a minute and just repeat to ourselves that the New England Patriots, winners of 8 games the past 2 years combined, portrait of NFL dysfunction the last 3 years, projected middling team in 2025 by yours truly and basically everyone else, is now basically guaranteed a playoff spot. And it's not Thanksgiving yet. Okay, let's do it. Let's repeat it. The New England Patriots, winners of 8 games the last 2 seasons combined. Portrait of dysfunction the last 3 NFL seasons. Projected middling team this year by yours truly and everyone else is already guaranteed a playoff spot before Thanksgiving. The Patriots have a 97% chance of making the playoffs according to Next Gen Stats and ESPN. It's always really nice when our analytical bottles get along. So good job by Next Gen Stats and ESPN. They are the odds-on favorites to win the AFC East, according to any sportsbook, our new overlords and governors for how we just frame everything in and around sports. Okay, that means the Patriots, barring some big surprise, are going to play a home playoff game in January. The last time that happened, you might remember, it was before the pandemic, and Tom Brady was a Patriot. Now we'll skip what happened in that game, but you get my point. So while we do get caught up, and I have a hand in this, I might have 2 hands in this, okay, in the defense giving up opening drive touchdowns, and the schedule, or the trade deadline and what didn't happen, or the blah run game, or Josh McDaniels called this on 3rd down. Oh my God. I'm guilty of that. But for this moment in time, November 19th, I just want you to turn off the radio or tell the inner critic or the podcast or that writer or whatever, just stop. We don't need to wait until we're sitting across from drunk uncle with a turkey between us to sit and realize we should be thankful. I know I am, in a way that is atypical in this job because it's supposed to be objective and analytical. But look, winning is fun. It is better for me in dealing with the people that I work with. I know you have more fun watching winning football. The Patriots have delivered that to a degree that is already stunning. They are 9-2. They've got proof of concept with Mike Vrabel. You've got an MVP candidate in Drake Maye. I believe they will capture the number 1 seed in the AFC. And here's why. Their toughest remaining games, as we all know, Bills at home, Ravens on the road, and then, pick this Sunday or the Giants the week after at home. Bengals, Giants, doesn't really matter. Compare this, though, to the Broncos. They have 3 of their 6 remaining games against current playoff teams, plus Kansas City on the road. Chiefs are currently out of the playoff picture. The Colts, the other team that is only got 2 losses in the AFC, 4 games left versus current playoff teams, plus Kansas City on the road and the Texans at home. That's brutal. So I don't know yet if I would take the Patriots over either the Colts or the Bills or, the Broncos in a playoff game. We're not there yet, okay? That's almost 2 months away, in fact. What I do know is, as far as you and I are concerned, actually, this is mostly you. I'm very busy all the time. It is the second semester of your senior year of high school. You got into college, okay? It's just time to kick your feet up and just enjoy, because it's been a long 3 years to get here. Okay, number 2. Gratitude and good feelings out of the way. Milton Williams injury. So if you were inclined to be a little bit more negative or anxious about things, here you go. This weekend, the Patriots got bad news that Williams will miss at least 4 games in 5 weeks, including the bye, because they opted to place him on injured reserve. He's got a high ankle sprain, okay? The soonest Milton Williams can return is December 28th when they go to the Jets, just after Christmas and after that Ravens game. So he is going to miss their 2 biggest and toughest games coming up, at home against the Bills, December 14th, and then the next week at Baltimore. Milton Williams, arguably the Patriots' best defender this season, inarguably a top 3 defender and one of their best overall players. So the fact to me that they moved so quickly to put him on IR, knowing it would be 4 games and 5 weeks, says to me there's a chance he might even miss that Jets game, partly because you just need to get your cardio back, or as LeBron put it after however many weeks he was out with sciatica this week, that he feels like he's got newborn lungs. He's got to get his grown-ass man lungs back. But high ankle sprains are really better described as a twisting of your lower leg bones. Okay, so these can and often do take 5 to 6 weeks or longer. So this is not what happens when you and I play pickup and roll an ankle. This is different. Now, zooming out, the Williams injury is the exact danger and lack of margin for error when we talk about the roster depth and talent that I've referenced before and why the Patriots should have added a pass rusher at the deadline. This is not about the deadline. That's past, okay? It's about the high-quality depth that the Patriots have, and understandably, how that is much thinner relative to the other good teams in the league and even the AFC. So if they lose another high-impact player at a premium position, like a Milton Williams, at the wrong time, and obviously this excludes Drake Maye. If Drake Maye goes down, so does the season. Their Super Bowl hopes are on life support, okay, if not in hospice, because your road through the AFC playoff sense means you have to go through teams that are all more talented than you. It's not an impossibility, but Milton Williams going down, again, is something that they should have guarded against by getting another pass rusher. And the example I use is Caleb Chason. Here's a guy, Chris Collinsworth voice. They signed for 1 year, $5 million. Great find, great deal. No one has been higher on Chason than me since the start of the summer. But he's essential now. The Patriots live in a world where losing Caleb Chason would be catastrophic to their edge rush and perhaps the defense. That's not a world you want to live in if you got Super Bowl hopes. Because through 11 games right now, and this includes Milton Williams and Chason, the Patriots pass rush has been about average. Their pass rush, ready for a ton of rankings that you didn't ask for? 16th by PFF, 21st in sack percentage, 18th by pressure rate at Sumer Sports, and 19th by pressure rate at Sports Info Solutions. ESPN's pass rush win rate, I'm not as high on, but they're 24th in there. So all of that is middling. Milton Williams, per PFF, and these numbers are close to mine, had 35 pressures this year. His absence now means that 16% of their total pressures are gone. And they'll replenish that a little bit with Kairos Tonga, another guy you're not going to find anyone higher on than me. Okay, but he's got a half sack for his whole career. Behind him is Corey Durden and Joshua Farmer. Not great. Okay. Without Milton Williams, the Patriots defense is going to lose a lot in high leverage moments, not to mention the run defense, which if you read the film review, Doug and I co-authored and detailed, really took a hit in that Jets game. This is not doom or gloom. It's just to say the Patriots cannot afford another big injury like this, and especially once we get to January. There's nothing they can really do about it, but these are the things I was trying to guard against, and I think they should have done a better job guarding against, where even if they ended up paying Jalen Phillips, which again, I was never firmly on the record about a third-round pick, but you were able to kick some guys inside to offset, say, Milton Williams' loss, if maybe Harold Landry goes in there. There's the ways to work around it. Right now, you're just stuck with the rotation of Kairos Tonga, Corey Durden, and Joshua Farmer. That's not so great. All right, number 3. I have a story coming out later this week about the hidden changes behind the Patriots turnaround, which, of course, excludes Mike Vrabel and Drake Maye. And these changes, I think, deserve more credit than they've received. But I'm going to give you one of these right now because I'm impatient and we have a podcast to do. It's a sports science program. Did you know, speaking of Milton Williams, he was the Patriots' first starter to go on IR this entire season? Okay, the Patriots are not just among the healthiest teams in the league generally, but they're the healthiest among their best players. And that sports performance staff, now led by Frank Perrano, who was with the Giants and before that with the Titans, and Mike Vrabel, has incorporated more rest and other things that I'm going to save that part for the story. Okay, than any Patriot staff of the modern era. This goes back to training camp when Morgan Moses is getting some team drills off because you need your 34-year-old right tackle who has talk about proven depth behind him. You need him upright for at least 16, hopefully 17 games in the season. So this has now included some shorter Wednesday practices, other veteran rest days. Vrabel's mentioned Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry and Harold Landry and others probably going to have their workload curbed a little bit as you go deeper into the season. So it's no accident that these changes happen. And then the Patriots, again, are now among the healthiest teams in the league. I can't tell you exactly where the line is because that would be disingenuous, even asking around about this. But what I can tell you is that the Patriots had no sports science staff for most of the Belichick era and were among the last teams to jump on board. Belichick poached, actually the Celtics head guy at the time, brought him down to Foxborough and put some of that information to good use. But also, when I wrote about this a couple of years ago and talking to players and former players, they told me the numbers would show they had maxed out in practice the day before, indicating, you should probably get some veteran rest or skip a period or do something. Bill would look at the numbers from that staff and say, and toss it out the window. So the fact that they're using some of that information and some new techniques and approaches, I think has helped them survive this marathon better than, frankly, we've seen from the Patriots the last 6-7 years. Because can you remember the last year that the Patriots finished strong? It wasn't their last playoff run in 21 when they fell apart. It wasn't 19. The last playoff run before that with Brady when they start 8-0 and end up was 11-5 and 11-6 after that last loss, maybe 12-4. The point is you're 500 or worse in the second half of the season. Okay, they might not do that here. I would bet they will. But what we can say again right now is after Williams, here are their most impactful injury losses so far this year. Christian Gonzalez in the first 3 games. Kayshon Boutte and Ramondre Stevenson have missed the last 2 to 3 weeks. That's it. Okay. Williams is the first and only starter to go on IR. The only other close candidates are Antonio Gibson and Lonnie Tavai, who have been rotating in first and second team going back to training camp. Last, I'll leave you with this on the injury stuff. I don't like giving you stats I can't explain in terms of the formula, but this captures exactly what we're talking about. SpoTrack, the salary cap website, offers a real-time look at the injured cash totals for each team and position group and injury type, meaning for the teams, how much guaranteed money goes down the drain when so-and-so walks into the trainer's room and doesn't come back. Okay. Looking, of course, at the contracts of those players. At the top, here are the most injured teams losing the most cash. The Bengals, of course, been without Joe Burrow. Big deal. They're bad. The Cardinals, who have been without Kyler Murray and a couple of other key players, including a lot of recent draft picks. A lot of money down the drain. Houston, Washington, no Jaden Daniels. Banged up Lions team, and the Cowboys are in there after missing CeeDee Lamb. Those are most of the teams now in the top 10. Who's at the bottom? Care to take a guess? Patriots are third right now. If you flip this and go, who are the healthiest teams that have lost the least amount of cash? They're third. Ahead of them are the Jaguars, currently a playoff team, and it's a prize team, which also prize teams are pretty healthy. And then the Rams, who might be the best team in football and certainly among the smartest, no worse than top 5. You want to go behind the Patriots? Because this will reinforce the point even a little bit further. The Seahawks, another playoff team, they're fourth. Chiefs, Bucks, Packers, and Eagles. So of the 8 teams that have lost the least amount of cash to injury, 7 right now are in the playoff picture. And the other one is maybe at the end of a dynasty and still probably going to make the playoffs in the Chiefs. This is how big injuries are, and this is how much that's helped the Patriots, that they've been able to curb that up until Milton Williams was lost with a high ankle sprain. All right, we got 3 more, then Dad Pat. But first, PrizePicks. Okay, we've been talking about this all year. I talk about it with Mike Giardi in my private time because PrizePicks, yeah, sure, is a sponsor of the podcast. But I got to tell you, this is the simplest, most fun, and easiest way to win money while you watch sports. I don't know if that interests you at all, but now that we've got hockey back in full swing, we've got basketball. And let me tell you, I watched a pretty sucky Celtics-Nets game last night that was made happier with a newborn in my lap and a winning PrizePicks lineup in my right hand on my phone. This is where you go because every week we give you PrizePicks picks of the week. This is based on the Patriots and their opponents. And I don't do it because PrizePicks for me is not for football. It's for other sports. But for you, if you're watching the Patriots and you want to win a little bit of money, take 2 or 3 or only one and make your own pick and build your own lineup with all the stuff that we give you. It could be Drake Maye touchdowns or Drake Maye passing yards or Trayvon Henderson rushing yards or touchdown, whatever you want. And the best thing about PrizePicks, in my opinion, is not that you get your money quickly like this once you win and you can get it out. You can change the numbers that they give you so it's not just what they want to show you. If you want to bump up Drake Maye, you think he's going to throw 3 passing touchdowns, you can do that. If you want to take Trayvon Henderson down to like 25 rushing yards or something, I'm sure you can do that. But you can only do that if you can download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. You pick a player, you pick a stat, you do that again, boom, that's a 2-player lineup. It's that easy. But again, that's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, number 4, Drake Maye. I tweeted this the other day, and I just think it bears repeating again. He is 6 games away from the most accurate season of the modern era. Drake Maye has completed 71.9% of his passes. That leads the league in completion percentage. That's cool. Okay, Drew Brees set the record in 2018 with a cool 74.4%. Now, Brees that year had a CPOE, a completion percentage over expected, of 6.8%. Before I lose you, know the numbers, hang in here for a second. All CPOE of 6.8% means is that based on the location and difficulties of the throws, Drew Brees was 6.8% more accurate than was expected from like an average quarterback based on the throws that he was making against the certain defenses and receivers, okay? Drake Maye, meanwhile, is at 9.3% CPOE. That's more than 33% higher than the most accurate season from the most accurate passer in NFL history. Part of that, of course, is depth of target. How often are you making longer, more difficult throws? Okay, Maye right now is 3rd in the league in average depth of target, meaning when he's throwing the ball, the receiver on the other end is about 9.4 yards downfield. Brees that season was 7.7. That's more than 1.5 yards further downfield that Drake Maye is throwing and throwing more accurately than the most accurate passer in NFL history in his most accurate season. And it's interesting because, of course, deep passing has been Drake Maye's hallmark for pretty much this entire year. And yet you look at that Jets game, he was 1 of 6 on deep passes. And he still boosted his case with the CPOE because he was 24 of 26 within 19 yards of the line of scrimmage. It's preposterous. It's insane. It's historic. And we should be talking about it more. Number 5, I mentioned Pats-Jets. We'll do this quickly. Very clean football game. Like to see it. Okay. They were never going to bowl you over with this dominant performance over a bad team. Like the uniforms were cool. And it's kind of telling when we talk about a game more about the uniforms than the football. Anyway, as far as how clean it was, 0 turnovers, 2 penalties, 3 missed tackles. That's all you want. And that's all you need. That's especially what you need if your depth is going to take some hit going into the playoffs, where you just need to hold on and let Drake Maye do his thing. And that's exactly what the Patriots did. Now, to help him, Josh McDaniels did some fun stuff. You had some 10 personnel, which means they ran with 4 receivers, 1 running back, no tight ends, because they really didn't have any tight ends after Hunter Henry. Austin Hooper was out. And they also ran out Ben Brown as the 6th offensive lineman to be another de facto tight end. And with Ben Brown, it's not like, hey, they've got, the goal line package on the field and they're probably going to run behind the extra offensive lineman. McDaniels ran behind Ben Brown. He ran away from Ben Brown. They had a play action pass in there. So there's stuff in here that I'm like, oh, this is cool. And asking guys about it after, it was like, hey, they said it's all hands on deck, meaning the coaching staff. We just have to do whatever works. Okay. That's the only rule. It could be anything. Just do what you have to do to get by. And Kayshon Boutte might be back this week. Ramondre Stevenson might be back this week. They could have both of them, one of them, maybe none of them. Hopefully both. We hope everyone is as healthy as possible. But my point is, for a coach that does not lack for creativity, I don't want the goal for the Patriots to now be, after this Jets game, where you saw some of these wrinkles work, and they absolutely work, to, okay, let's get back to our base stuff. If it works, man, keep doing it. And not major in 10 personnel, right? Like we're running air raid in college. It's just to say that when you have a tiny small sample, but 75% success rate on those passes, maybe mix it in and get Kayshon Boutte with Stephon Diggs and Demario Douglas and Matt Collins. Because inevitably, with how those guys are playing, and Demario Douglas had 3 catches versus man coverage, one of them is going to have a mismatch You can only exploit it if they're all in the field at the same time. So again, I hope they incorporate more of those wrinkles. Sometimes the best inventions were stumbled upon or out of desperation. In this case, might be both. Don't file it away for good. Just file it away in the back of their minds. I hope they go back to that if they need it. Defensively, a great Christian Barmore game. It's hard to say he's underwhelmed this season, even though Jardy and I have called him out here and there. We're just saying it was kind of a quiet game, no pressures, no run stuff. I'm not saying he's underwhelmed because I just can't give you another example of a guy who came off of 2 instances of blood clot related symptoms last year and came back to play football. So calibrating the expectations and being fair is really difficult, even if he's lost weight and feels good. It's just hard. Statistically, though, it is a little surprising to see him have just 1 sack, and it's not about the sack because he's had a lot of pressures. But as we discussed here, until Thursday, a lot of it's been, like soft pressure. You're kind of in the neighborhood of the quarterback, but you're not knocking him down. You're not knocking him on his door even. So for this game, 5 pressures, matched a career high. Really, really good for career for Christian Barmore. And of course, you want to see that now that Milton Williams is gone. That's all for that game, which, by the way, might have been, I don't know, the one game this season, maybe across the entire league, that has played most to expectation. Patriots are favored by 13.5. They won by 13. They gave up an opening touchdown, which is now just like a given. Maye was awesome. The Jets did a stupid thing at the end and lost a snap and gave the ball away. It was just a simple, straightforward, exactly what you expected. Pats put them in a chokehold and won. All right, thought number 6, Pats-Bengals. So, again, more tomorrow. Brian Barrett, which, again, by the time you get this, will probably mean Friday. Bengals defense is capital A-T-R-O-C-I-O-U-S atrocious. This is another, if you're McDaniels and Maye, as much as Callahan just suggested, like, hey, more wrinkles. This is fun. Those worked. Keep it up. This is a play simple football and do simple well kind of game. Because if you leave Cincinnati without a turnover, you're going to leave Cincinnati with a win, barring some complete catastrophe from the special teams. Because defensively, I think they'll be able to hang. It's just, you pick a metric, the Bengals are at the bottom. Defensively, since he's losing Jamar Chase to a 1-game suspension, don't spit on people, by the way. I know we get in the heat of the moment. Speaking of we, of course, me and NFL players, two very similar folks that you always think of at the same time. Just don't spit. Just don't do it. Otherwise, you might miss a big game for your own team, which Jamar Chase will. Since he's out, I would expect Christian Gonzalez to shadow T. Higgins. This won't be 100% of the time because the Patriots need counters or disguises to the Bengals counters to get Gonzalez off of Higgins when they want, and they will. But this game, to me, is not even going to be about the passing game. It's going to be about the running game on that side of the ball because the Bengals are 5th in rush offense by DVOA. They're 2nd in EPA. And those numbers are inflated. Like, when we throw out all the numbers in the show, like, I'm not going to just completely faithfully abide by the numbers, especially in small samples. You need to complement it with the eye test. And what the eye test will show you is that I think part of that running game not only is a little bit more, boom or bust. You got games with 3 rushing touchdowns for them and many with 0. Is that I think Cincinnati's had an easier time because they've been facing lighter boxes because you need to stay in too high when Jamar Chase is on one side and T. Higgins is on the other. That won't be the case Sunday. Still, when you lose Milton Williams, you need to maintain your run defense with Tonga and some other players because the way that the Bengals win this game and pull off an upset as touchdown underdogs at home is running the ball, controlling the clock, and Joe Flacco hitting some deep completions or pass interference penalties. I don't know. So those are the initial thoughts. A lot more with Brian Barrett later this week. Okay, those are the 6 thoughts. If you do not want to hear about non-football stuff for the next couple of minutes, fast forward, hit pause, whatever, and forever hold your peace. So it has been 12 days since my daughter was born. And for the folks on YouTube, you can see that I'm grinning about as wide as any person has ever grinned on 3 hours of sleep. But I wanted to talk about this today because it's the most important thing I will talk about maybe ever. And I will keep it to one story and one anecdote because Dad Pod is a segment. It's not a show that we'll do. And we'll do more with Giardi on Monday and he'll make fun of me and it'll be a lot of fun. But the point is, like, it's amazing to me when you have a major life event and usually it's life, entering with a baby or life exiting and you have the loss of a loved one that just everything else fades in a way that nothing else can be as remotely important as what just happened or what's going on. And it's not to say that I didn't care about the Patriots. Like, we watched the Pats-Bucks game in my wife's hospital room. Okay, I rewatched it my first night at home with my daughter on my lap. But I want to go back 2 weeks because this is the story I told on the radio yesterday. My daughter was due November 5th. So that's Wednesday before that Bucks game. And it was a weird week because it felt like I was covering college football, save the baby stuff to the side, which I did for a couple of years. But if you cover a good big name program, there are 365 days in a year, 12, 13 that really matter, and they're all Saturdays. But even within that subset, there's only like 3 that really, really matter. Okay. You're playing a rivalry, you're playing a top team, conference championship. That's it. Like, all due respect, Nicholls State, okay, doesn't count. But when you look at the Patriots schedule now and the way the season has developed and how good they are, 17 of those 365 days matter. But within those 17, you're like, the next good team they're going to play is Buffalo, which is in a month when you're talking about this Bucs game. And the last good team they played before this was also Buffalo, which is more than a month earlier. So there's only 3 to 4 that tell us really something. And while all this attention and weight is going to be on this upcoming Sunday, I'm like, why am I in Foxborough? Well, it's because there's nothing for me to do. Wednesday comes and goes, nothing happens. Thursday comes and goes, nothing happens. And so Friday I say, look, I'm going to stay home. She's a little bit late. We had an appointment. That's fine. And Doug, by the way, who I have said many great things, and I've said them to his face and to other people and on the show, was the world's best teammate throughout all this. And I am so incredibly lucky to have that guy as a coworker and a friend. But moving on Friday. So that night, labor onset's very fast. And the summary here is we basically had an extended weekend at Beth Israel in Boston, and it was just the best care in the entire world I could have ever imagined. Like, it was, of all the nurses we met, over 20, and the care, not just medically, but like the personal touches, I left feeling like a little bit better about humanity. Now, of the 20 plus nurses, though, then here's the crux of the story that swung through. And I would say all of them. There was one that my wife did not like. And it was the first one we met. They admit us at like 10 o'clock Friday night. We sit in a room, triage room. She comes in. Hey, girlfriend, how are we doing? This nurse, who I get a very, very small glimpse at, because I have to immediately divert my eyes, because in that moment, I could not tell if that woman, that nurse, was the last woman I had dated before my wife, who was a nurse and had the same height and the same hair color and wore the same headbands the same way and used the same tone of voice and phrases and all of this different stuff. And of course, it turned out not to be her, and what would have been the world's most insane coincidence. And ultimately, we would have been fine, though it didn't end particularly well. But my wife just was a little annoyed, and I wanted to share, and thank God had the good sense not to say, oh, by the way, this is like what my last girlfriend before you was like, because she's dealing with the worst pain of her entire life and can't throw up anymore because she'd been doing that for 2 hours. So it turns out, again, it wasn't her, but until I started now changing diapers at 3 a.m. for a crying baby while trying to shush this crying baby, while my wife and mother-in-law, who's staying with us, are in adjacent rooms and trying to keep them asleep instead of the crying baby waking them up, I have never known panic like I did in that split-second moment trying to decipher, and in the ensuing minutes of listening to this woman while I'm not looking at the nurse taking care of my wife to figure it out. But my wife is a badass, and it's been a hell of a 12 days. So that was the story. The one anecdote I'll share is something that people who are close to me, like really, really close, only know. And that when I was in college, and this is honestly like mostly high school, late middle school, most of college, I had always wanted to coach. Like, I followed the dynasty years and the whole league and could tell you every single player and the depth chart and the assistant coaches and the schemes and all the stats and like stuff that parents say about their kids. Oh, he knows everything. But like, I was so set on all parts of coaching. And when I got to UConn, where I worked a lot, the student newspaper, student radio, and got to know some people that were on staff, I realized that like these dudes who told me this don't raise their kids. They recruit other kids for work. Okay. They have a higher divorce rate, and they're working 18 hours a day. And the work didn't scare me at all. It felt like those guys who were talking about building a family and a program, like, we're kind of living a lie. And look, if that's what you want to do and you're good at it, by all means. I just found out very late in the process. This was like late junior year, which is also when I decided not to major, but that's another story. That sacrifice was not worth it to me. I couldn't choose all of that day after day after day and tell myself those same stories about, oh, this is for my family and putting food on the table. No, it's because I like football or basketball, and I want to pursue those things and live it in the competition and the strategy and the camaraderie and everything day to day to day. So I chose a wife I had not met yet, a baby that didn't exist yet, obviously, and pivoted. And look, it's, I'm sure part of it was the anxiety of like not wanting to go into maybe one of the least stable kind of professions where you're whole job is at the whim and performance of 18-year-olds who, if you're in college or a little bit more in the NFL. But the point is, like, I chose then maybe the only less stable line of work in the ever shrinking sports media space. And I have been just beyond lucky ever since then. But it is a wild thing 13 and a half years later for a moment of a lifetime to arrive after you spent a lifetime waiting for that moment, and she's in your arms and she's here. And the way I see fatherhood is that I owe her everything, and I owe her my best always, except for when I'm sitting alone in a closet and fighting off tears talking on a podcast. So look, that's it. I'm back to work full time now. We'll do it through the end of the Super Bowl. I will take an extended break in the spring. That's not for you. That's not to worry about. But I want to just end on this too, because, again, in the 12 days and other than this big, father expert, if you know a single mom in your life, I just want you to tell her whatever you feel most comfortable with. The feeling I have is pride, because this is just so hard. And for the women who have to do that on their own or do it on their own or whatever the circumstances are. And I get that saying this is like people who go on shows that are like, oh, pay the teachers, save the turtles, like just the easy layup stuff. But I always knew it was hard. And I have just the utmost respect for the toughness and dedication that takes to do it well. So if you have a single mom in your life, just, try to make her day. Anyway, in a just totally natural pivot, here comes Jared Wilson, and we will have another episode for you later this week. If, by the way, you stuck it out, I think you probably have another minute to give us a rating or review on Spotify or Apple, or subscribe on YouTube @_Andrew Callahan, of course, the Patriots Press Pass channel. But we really want you to subscribe to @_Andrew Callahan on YouTube. That'd be a huge help. So we will be back all football all the time later this week with Brian Barrett, Mike Charity Mondays after that, and then a Monday night game against the Giants before we all get a big bye week. Until then, thanks for listening, and it is so good to be back. All right, as promised, Jared Wilson here. We're going to make history for you, not for the show. This is the first 4-minute drill you're ever going to run where you're not trying to run out the clock. We're going to go through as many questions with the Patriots' third-round rookie, coming off his best game against the Jets last week. Don't ask him about it, though, because he's on to Cincinnati. You ready?
Indeed, yes, I am.
All right, here we go. Starting the clock right now. Okay, like I just told you off air, we talked to Kairos Tonga last week, who shared that you greet him every time by just giving a big Hulk, Tonga. Do you greet anyone else like this, or what's the strangest greeting for any teammate you got?
Just Tonga. Tonga. Just
okay.
Tonga.
Yeah. Still, you can. I love the change in the tone. We ask everyone this. Do you have an alias or fake name you give when you're riding in an Uber?
I do not. No.
Okay. Just Jared?
Just Jared.
You ever looked at your rating?
No. I've never looked at the rating. No. I've never.
All right. Well, if we have you back, you got to look at it, and we'll get a report back.
Cool.
Best thing about being an offensive lineman?
That's a good question. What's the best thing about being an offensive lineman? It's just the guys that are next to you. It's just great having 4 other guys with you and we all have to do the same thing and all have to be on the same page. So it's pretty cool.
All right, camaraderie. Very wholesome answer. 30 years from now, there's a documentary made about Jared Wilson, and it's not about your football career. Mm-hmm. What is that documentary about?
Probably the amount of video games I play. Snakes, and my fiance. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Next question is about that snake. You told us just after you got drafted, you were planning to buy one. Yep. What's the latest there?
Nothing yet. I'm waiting until we possibly get into a house in the off season, so we'll see about that later on.
So she agreed to marry you, knowing about the snakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay, good. Maybe waiting until after you actually put a ring on it and then you get one.
Yes, I've got the ring's on there already, fiance. But just waiting for the right environment. Okay. Got to get a tank and all that. Yep.
When you were still single, what was a typical first date? What would you do when you're taking somebody out?
Movies. Go get something to eat. I don't know. Yeah.
Something simple?
Yeah, something very simple. Yeah.
All right, very good. When you first were drafted, you were very brave on your first press conference because you told us this about Josh McDaniels on May 9th. Quote, his voice is really loud. He's a short guy, but he talks and everyone stops and listens. Can you tell us what Josh McDaniels short and loud sounds like in a meeting?
He's not really loud in meetings. Josh has one tone, and it's just up there. He's never kind of talking low. He's always up here, which is a great thing. But he doesn't really raise his voice, like I said before. It's just one tone, and it's loud.
What's that tone sound like?
I can't put an impersonation on it. I can't do that. Okay. I don't know just yet. Yeah.
We got one impersonation of Drake Maye by Hunter Henry earlier this year. Yeah, it's pretty good. You get to make the play call. 4th and goal at the 1. What run? I assume it's a run. Are you calling? Power, counter, zone, duo. What's the play call?
Duo. If we're on the 1?
Yeah.
Duo. Okay. Got to be straight downhill.
Is that just your favorite play in general, or just 4th and 1? That's the go-to.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite plays. Yeah. It's just I'm coming right at you.
So people don't know you were one of the fastest offensive linemen ever tested at the combine. 4.84 40. Mm-hmm. Mike Vrabel ran a 4.93. What do you make of that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but that's pretty cool. I guess. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was trying to run as hard as I did, and came out with that number.
Yeah. Would you ever tell him that? You think?
No, I don't think I'd ever mention that. No.
What's one thing that would surprise people about Will Campbell?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Straightforward dude. Hunting, football, girlfriend.
Football and girlfriend. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How does Jared Wilson talk trash?
I don't really talk trash. I don't really do that. Okay. I don't know why, but I've never talked trash, like, ever.
Really?
Yeah, I've just never done it.
So people talk trash to you, and you do what?
I just walk away. I don't really listen.
Peaceful guy.
Or I laugh at it sometimes. It's pretty. Some of the trash talk's pretty funny. Honestly.
Who made you laugh most recently?
It wasn't this game. Who we played before this?
The Bucks.
Yes, it was the Bucks. Number 96. I'm not gonna say what he said, but he said something like we were in a pile, and it was hilarious. I started crying.
Is there like a PG-13 version we could get across here?
No. No.
All right, we'll get this off the record sometime later. Last one. Teammate FaceTimes you late at night. Okay, who is the last teammate you're gonna pick up? Like, you see the name and you're like, nope, no way.
Caden Wallace.
Why is that?
It's just Caden. Yeah, it's just Caden.
All right, and that's just Jared Wilson. Thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.